So we all know Kendrick's dropping a new album May 13th called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but what was announced today is that this album is, from what we know, double-sided to say the least. And I say that because looking at this picture on the Oklahoma website with the new picture added, we get two finished master copies, one titled Morale and the other titled Steppers, along with a book that looks suspiciously like a Bible titled with the album title Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, along with Kendrick Lamar's name. And basically what this tells us right now is that this is finished because if you look at the albums themselves, the CDs, it says master copy on it. And not only that, but the album's coming out in a little over a week, so it should ideally be done by now unless you are Kanye West. But, it being double-sided is, something more, I think, strategic and deliberate, as opposed to what he's done with previous albums like To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City, where the albums themselves are essentially concept albums but are thematically divided in their own regard. And now we see Kendrick making that very purposeful decision of telling us from the beginning that it is separate in a way by adding that and. It's telling us, these are two separate things. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, the reference point for that to a lot of people is very minimal. So it tells us that these things are separate in nature, and I expect Kendrick to sort of, dabble in that thematic duality as he always has done. But I think the indirect way that Kendrick's sort of releasing more information about this album is sort of in tune with almost like the Tumblr age, where it's a very blank canvas of a page and it just has a few links on it, and that link is a picture that's not in proportion to the rest of the screen. So could this be a throwback sort of sounding album? I don't know. But again, I don't think that's really the point. I think another interesting about this is this book we see behind it, which I said looks like almost a Bible. Like, that is the typical maroon colored Bible that you'd find in any hotel desk drawer. Speculation within that, I think, is him essentially saying this is his magnum opus. This is, as we already know, his final project on TDE. Granted, I don't think he's retiring. I think he might take a more managerial role like sort of Dr. Dre has, because we all know that Kendrick looks up to Dr. Dre so much. So I think that that's kind of what this book, I've seen, Rolling Stone calls it a book, but I think it's more purposefully meant to represent that of a Bible. And that's kind of all that we have right now about this. Like I said, there's not really much to speculate on besides this, and I also think that's kind of besides the point of what this promo is, because it is so purposefully minimal, and I love that about Kendrick. So I am super excited to see what this album sounds like and sort of what the public reaction will be immediately, because Damn was a very mainstream album in terms of what we got with To Pimp a Butterfly, which was very abstract, not only for Kendrick, but in the typical mainstream hip-hop format, where sure, you have a few viral songs on there, but the meat of the album and what connects everything thematically is very abstract and artistic, as you can see with a lot of the jazz influences on there. I do kind of see Kendrick maybe treading that ground in between the mainstream and the abstract. What we saw him do with Baby Keem was, I think, in that lane specifically, where, it's essentially a viral trend once it gets released, his verses on the Baby Keem songs, but it's abstract and unique in its own right. Just like someone like Playboi Carti continues to innovate upon his own flow, I think Kendrick is just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, analyzing it with his own nuanced mindset of what will my audience not only reciprocate with, but what do I want to put out into the void of, musical influence, and what do I want to be now that I've already proved myself time and time and time again. And I'm more than ready for Kendrick to do that one more time on TDE with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Let me know what you think this album's gonna sound like, and please like and subscribe for more. It really helps me out. Make sure you have a great rest of your week. Thank you.